Flory Models, I'm Philip Flory. Today's kit review we've got is Sword's brand new 1/48 scale T.5 Lightning. So yeah, this is the BAC two-seater. Beautiful lines on this aircraft, quite a classic, and first time we've seen the two-seater readily available apart from obviously conversions in 1/48 scale. So a little bit of history, we've got over here, this is the Airfix Lightning, which I still maintain is one of Airfix's best kits they ever did. Considering its age as well, it's just when Airfix were getting good, then they had all their problems and now they're sort of coming back again. But this kit really was a massive jump ahead. Beautiful kit to go together, beautiful lines, it's a Lightning, and in new metal finish, or a natural metal finish, what can go wrong? So, what we got here is Sword's offering, okay? So basically, Sword do sort of limited run kits and things like that, so you're not going to be expecting one of these straight out of the box. It's going to take a little bit more work, but as we'll see, you get some nice touches in this particular one. So you see, quite simple, but very effective, and it is what I quite like about this one, it's just showing the Lightning off in its best sort of guise. 1/48 scale, just like that. Not much on the box, sorry about the glare, as you can see all the way around. So you've actually got SW48009, obviously they like to get in the range. A little bit just down there about obviously making a kit on the back. All right, so in the box itself, let me get that to stand up. May or may not do, there we go, ish. We have our box of bits down here. Now, being a short run kit tends to be a little bit more flashy, a little bit more heavy. We've spoken about these before, and as I said, with a little bit of care and attention, you can actually come up with something exceptionally good because you get a lot of extra parts like resin, photo etch and stuff like that normally. So, looking down in the box, let me just get the items out. We'll look at in a moment. So starting off in the instructions, very reminiscent to actually how the Airfix instructions are. Okay, so down in here, as you can see, we've obviously got parts call out, as you can imagine, pretty much standard with everything. Okay, right the way through. We've got color call outs down there, not in anything specific, so it's just actually saying it's brown, chrome, sand, you know, things like that. The resin parts, the bits and pieces down there. So big difference obviously with the Lightning and the T2 is side-by-side seating. Okay, so obviously we've got a wider cockpit than the standard single seat Lightning we've got over there. Okay, and then right the way through. So very similar to the other ways of doing it. We've got a system where two halves going together, the radome and obviously the nose wheel system going in the front there, and then the first stage at the back. A little bit of an instrument panel going down in there. Okay, and then we've got the front ring is going to go in. Sometimes you put them in before or after, depending on the kit. Basically, instrument panel goes down and on. A couple of little bits for the sides of the cockpit, and then it goes in and goes together by the looks of it. So pretty straightforward off the bat like that. Exactly the same, this beautiful stacked, looks like a double barrel shotgun, and for the actual engines, for those beautiful engines down in there, and then obviously we've got various things, we've got some of the little plug systems going down on there, posable control surfaces, so obviously being a Lightning, they're sort of like flapperons, okay, down on this, so it sort of flaps and ailerons all in one. Okay, two halves going together, all right, and then we've actually got the seat system, talking about the colour call-outs, we'll have a look at that in a moment, and then it's just a simple case of chucking it all together, okay. The wings, as I said, it's got, what do they call it, the one, is it anhedral or dihedral, or one of them, anyway, it faces downwards, 6 degrees on the Lightning, quite important that it has that, okay. And then over here we've got a couple of scoops, nose wheel system, main gear system going in there, and then putting those in. So we'll see what details we get down there on the bottom. Okay, and then it's a paint call out. Okay, then obviously the same for the other side. The undercarriage does lean forward. I don't know if you can see it on ours, but it's a weird angle. It looks like it's going to break because it's leaning so far forward, but that's how they go. All right, and then more lumps, bumps, scoops, aerials, things like that, going to fit on the top. Okay, then obviously we've got the rail system going onto the side, this front part of the rail, because I'm assuming they were never armed, although that one's showing it as being armed, but as I said, you can have them armed or not. Got the front panels going down on there. The missiles, so you obviously got the famous sort of, is it Sky Flash on these? Missiles down there, red top missiles. Okay, and then obviously the seats going in there, the canopies, the bits, the coaming for the top of the instrument panel being put in, and yes, you do have the missiles. Sorry, it's that front part going on there, I was forgetting how they go. And then obviously the missiles being fitted onto there. All right, and then that is it. So you've got some nice markings as well down here. So we've got XS452, which is the operational conversion unit out of Lakenheath. Okay, in 1970, those were the real days. Okay, and then we've got the one in the nice sort of camo, which is what we've got on the box here with the two-tone camo. Okay, and that is 1988 out of, where is that? It's Flight Training Flight. Doesn't actually say where that one was stationed, but there we go. So there's that one down there as well. So that's DY. Okay. Then we got the very modern colour scheme with the two-tone grey system. Okay, which was 1987. All right, so that's those out of there, out of Alconbury. Down in, very nice indeed. So, looking at the decals, okay, looking at the decal sheet, actually I have to say they don't look too bad at all. Nicely in register, very nice sort of gloss finish to these, and actually they don't look too bad at all, you know. Considering, as I say, it's a short run kit, sometimes the decals again can be just a little bit on the lower quality side, shall we say, but actually those don't look too bad. The walkways all look very nice, and the carrier film around things like the walkways, because it has them all over the top, it can be a bit of a pain because obviously you've got to get rid of that to make it go down and look nice. Okay, so yeah, very good. So the kit itself is the parts breakdown isn't a million miles away from the Airfix one. You can see this fantastic shiny of the plastic. That is extremely shiny, and to be honest the detail is all there. I can't see any real difference in the detailing than what you would find on this guy. Now this one over here, to be honest, as I said, it's a standard Airfix. That's an Alclad job on that, done back in the day, in the early 2000s I think we did that one. But yeah, so definitely it's very nice system on this right the way through. Looking at the parts, we just drop this top can down just a little bit more. Okay, so you get a sort of better look, but you can definitely see, you can catch it in this shininess down on these. Beautifully done, very polished mould and all the rest of it. Now the rest of it, to be honest, as you'd expect, this is a short run kit, so we are a little bit flashy. We've got some bits and pieces and chunky bits of plastic and things like that. It's all going to need tidying up and taking care of generally. You can see just around these, the edges aren't exactly brilliant. We do have, no we don't, yes we do, sort of. It's little things like this. With a short run kit you have to allow for these. The locating pins are a little bit nasty, so what you want to do is open these up or not bother with them at all, all right, to actually get this together. Obviously internally wise you've got nothing. We've got a little bit of instrument details down here each side, but generally we haven't got anything going on down here. Nothing on the blank side whatsoever. Very softly molded, as you might imagine, as well down here in the nose wheel and everything else. Now one thing I don't know is how this would fare with a aftermarket set, because there's loads of aftermarket sets for this, because if I remember rightly we've actually got an aftermarket cockpit in this and a few bits and pieces. How that would work on this, I don't know how easily it would be to sort of shoehorn some of the parts from that one into this kit, but generally I think, but hopefully as you can see it has got some extremely nice details on this, you know, to the point where actually I think with a little bit more work, and as I say, shoehorning some aftermarket bits and pieces into this, I think it would be really, really nice. It should make for a very nice kit indeed. Okay, so there we go, that's that first screw. We do the wing ones now. Okay, so with the next screw, we've got the wing set. And you can see lovely polishing on these actual parts and everything else. I know technically you're going to prime it, but there we go. As you can see, some very nice details. This is what we're talking about. These parts down here, if we're honest, none of them are very nice at all. Now we'll look down on close up. As you can see, they are what they are. They are quite chunky, flashy. I'm going to need some tidying up, really, all of them, to make them usable and everything else, because that's what it is. And this is the thing, it's a short run kit. There's not tons of it and all the bits and pieces. So because it's a smaller company, they're not producing tons of it and CAD work and all the rest of it. Okay, they're just giving you the general overall, and then from this point is your starting point to go ahead and super detail it, come in with the aftermarket stuff and bits and pieces. But it gives you a very nice start. Now, the only thing, I don't know, I must admit, I have heard people mentioning the wings. And I know obviously we've got a slightly different version over there, but I think the wings are the same. For the actual the lightnings, but apparently the wing shape is supposedly slightly incorrect on there. So does this mean the Airfix one is wrong as well? Because I'm just looking at it. Okay, Now the only thing is, as I say, I can't totally comment on this, but they do look smaller than the Airfix one in every portion. It's not just the length, it's the width. By, I don't know, width maybe not, but just lining them up on what we've got down there already, they do look a little bit shorter, but it may be differences with the T5 versus the version one down here, which one have we got down there? I can't remember which one it is now. Can't remember now. But yes, so we got that one done. They might be slightly different. Generally though, we have got some nice touches. So we've got some nice details, as you can see, just down here in the internals. So we've got some bits and pieces, some little details and things going down in there. Gives you a proper depth of wheel well, because obviously the wheel wells in these are notoriously difficult to put in. You have to thin the wings out to make them fit. And everything else like that. But as you can see down here on the blind side, again, you are going to need some cleanup. We have got some nasty ejector pins in the actual the doors as well, things like that. But yeah, okay, just a little bit organic, shall we say. Okay, so down here, which is the weird thing, we have got both types of tails. So obviously we've got the rounded tail, as you can see, and this is the version we got down here, or we've got the square tail, which is the, I can't remember which version it is now, which is the which is this one, which is the F6 version. I think it is, with that one up there. Okay, but generally again, one piece molded missiles, and it looks like we've got some sink marks down in these, which you're going to have to take care of. And they're not exactly nice. It might be worth going hunting for some aftermarket jobs down that. The refueling probe looks quite nice, I must admit, some nice details on there. We don't have any ejector pin marks or anything else like that. We got the flaps. Sorry, I'm miles away with this particular kit, but it's not flaps, is it? Ailerons are on the end here, flaps are down there. So there's your flaps. Tailplanes down there again. Looks like they just, there's no actual pin for holding these in either, like a pivot pin. The Airfix one has a pin system that goes into them. These don't. These are just going to literally be a push on the end. The gear themselves got a little bit of burring, as we would expect, to be honest, and quite softly molded on there, just like that. Okay. We'll have a look at the canopy, and then we'll have a look at the resin parts. So, interesting to see. So, again, because it's short run, this is it. It's not too bad, I must admit, but you got a little bit of distortion. They're a little bit thick, I think, maybe. I don't think they're too bad, but just a tiny little bit too thick on these clear parts. You might be able to see how they're actually going. But, you know, I think it's totally usable. There's not a problem with any of that. And it's very soft on the outside how this actually goes around the barring. So coming in to actually mask it is going to be a little bit of a headache. It's a shame you don't get any aftermarket masks with it. Okay, because just to find those will be very difficult. Okay, so those. So actually clear parts. And last up we have the resin goodies. Now you haven't got tons in here. So what we have got is the actual engines themselves, cast resin, which I'm just, as I say, I would have thought it would have been nicer to have some internals as well for this. You know, obviously we've got the parts down there for them and all the rest of it, but I don't know, they've taken the care to do them like this. But, you know, generally I think they're very nice, very nicely done and all the rest of it. It's just that I'd be hoping to see a little bit more detail on the insides. For the top end, for the actual afterburner ring and things like that. As I say, we've got the kit parts just down there. The seats themselves actually don't look too bad. Pre-harnessed and all the bits and pieces. As I say, they're not the most sharpest seats in all the world, but as I said, a little bit of lead wiring down in there, things like that, just to tidy them up and give them a little bit more life and a nice paint job, some weathering, things like that. I think it wouldn't be too bad of an idea on these, but generally not too bad. Okay. So there we go, there we have it. That is Lightning's Mark V. Now, okay, in the honesty thing here, if you're new to modelling, things like that, probably not one kit for you. You might want to go along with something like the Airfix's Lightning. Pretty straightforward, goes together. Has still got a few issues and things like that, as we know, but generally they're all things that can be glossed over quite easily, okay? If you're going to be doing something like this particular kit, you just have to be aware it's not going to just drop together, okay? You could have fit issues, you might have to do little workarounds. You can expect to have parts, test fitting, dry fitting, things like that are an essential part of building these types of kits, purely because you don't want to get the glue out before you know that part fits precisely exactly where you want it. And again, if you are thinking about, okay, well, I could just stick in some aftermarket stuff into this, do your research on it first, because I'm not sure if things are going to fit in here. Yes, I've done it before. I've put Hasegawa stuff into other companies' stuff and things like that, but it's never a straightforward job. It takes a little bit of work to get those in. And this particular kit, I think, is going to be a little bit of work. I don't think it's just going to be a shake and bake job, but it will be very nice to have a Lightning like this in your collection. And I must admit, it is on my bucket list to do something like this, because obviously we've got this one over here. It's one of those classic aircraft and all the rest of it. And I think, you know, bearing in mind I did that one some time ago now, to say the least, it'd be nice to do a modern, updated version and things like that. Have Sword done it? Again, I think they brought us a kit that we need. I don't think it's a perfect kit by a long way, but I think it'd be a lot of fun to do. Wing shape and stuff like that, and accuracies of the kit, obviously I'm just doing a preview here, we're just looking in the box so I can't state, but it does look like the wing is a little bit different on this kit to the actual one that we've got down there. So which one's right? Not too sure, and all the rest of it. So there we go, that is Sword's brand new 1/48 scale Lightning Mark 5.